Happy hunting to all low rank and master rank hunters. This is the second expansion in this series, which I already know you guys are going to absolutely love because I know that I absolutely love all of these monsters, right? Last video, we basically covered the worst and most lacking monsters, monsters 68 through 41. So in this video, we will be ranking basically the middle monsters, which are like just, again, leagues above any monster in the last video. These monsters are full of flavor and amazing hunts. This will be the high rank and silver rank monsters. This video was edited by Rathalos Watch. If you have not checked out his channel, go ahead and go check that out after this video. He makes incredible content based and centered around new things coming to Wilds, as well as creative content centered around the release of Wilds. I don't want to hold y'all up, so let's go ahead and get into it. Coming in at number 40, starting off this video, we have the king of the skies himself, Rathalos. This monster is incredibly flavorful and just barely made the cut into silver rank. Basically, this is like the most quintessential monster. It's appeared in every single Monster Hunter game since its debut. It's the real OG. Fight-wise, Rathalos is engaging, not only engaging, but also really difficult for beginners. Similar to Rathian, this monster wields the power of fire and poison. However, dissimilar to Rathian, it stores its poison in its talons, not its tail. Its fire can also prove to be deadly, especially when it fires its triple burst of fire, which can catch a lot of beginning hunters off guard. I really cannot hype this monster up enough. Again, it's basically the traditional, standard, I would say the average monster, what you should expect from any monster to be. If it's not equal to Rathalos, it's not, average. If it's better, then it's better, right? I would say Rathalos is the standard. Let's move on. At number 39, we have Tigrex. I know a lot of you are already screaming at your screen right now, but this monster doesn't really interest me, to be honest. For one, its color scheme is contrasting, and it's a pain to look at. The orange and blue just does not work well together. And before you say anything, Viper Tobikadachi is a whole different story. It works because he's a darker orange, right? But Tigrex's skin color, it just doesn't, they just don't, the two colors just don't match up, right? The monster's fight also weighs it down a little bit, I would say. I find Tigrex to be extremely derpy and clumsy looking when it's like, waddling and struggling to even move around the battlefield. It just looks like kind of clunky. I don't like its fight. I don't like its design, really. It's weighing it down a lot to where it could be. But a variant of it comes up next or soon in this video, so, stay tuned for that. Number 38, we have Base Nergigante. I know a lot of you absolutely love this monster, and I know a lot of you hate that other people love this monster, right? You either hate it or you love it. There's no in between with Nergigante. That being said, it is the second lowest ranking elder on this list. If you didn't watch my last video where I ranked the first 28 monsters, I ranked the lowest ranking elder in that video. So if you want to check that out and see which one is lower than Nergigante, you can probably guess which one it is, but go check that out if you didn't watch the last video. Anyway, Nergigante's design and concept is fantastic. I love the idea of an elder dragon that hunts other elder dragons for sustenance. I believe that's why he fights them or kills them. That being said, its fight is also really challenging. It can pose a definite threat to beginning hunters, right? I remember when I fought this thing in World, I was like dreading it because I knew that it was I had to kill it now, and only one of us was coming out alive. I'd fought this thing on Zora Magdaros's back all game, and then I'm like, okay, now it's the real deal. But anyway, it holds a nostalgic value to me, so it does get a little bit higher on the list, even though it's not even in Iceborne. Number 37, we have Brute Tigrex. Yes, just 2 ranks away from Base Tigrex. For one, the ugly-ass color design and scheme is revamped into a new badass dark brown, almost black color with torn and tattered wings that help it stand out from the Base Tigrex. I also love this monster's enraged state. Just, it's incredible. Basically, its eyes glow red and its veins become a bright red. I mean, normal Tigrex does that too, but it's still lame. I don't care. Brute Tigrex is also very menacing. I remember holding off on fighting this monster because it looked that difficult. It basically breaks the sound barrier when it screams, dealing damage to the hunter, which is that's terrifying. Number 36, the angry pickle himself, Devil Joe. Devil Joe's design is kind of derpy to me as well. His tail is just so unproportionate to the rest of his body. It's kind of goofy. But concept-wise, I really do love this monster. He's basically an all-hungry monster that devours anything in his way, especially or including his own tail, which he will bite off or eat if he's too hungry, right? If he can't find food. This is another monster I held off on fighting for a while because he's that menacing and terrifying. I'd heard horror stories of past games or from past games where players, you know, got thrown around like a rag doll, and I just was not ready for that. The Angry Pickle can also follow you, or will follow you, around the entire map, which is really annoying, but if you just throw shit at him, he'll leave you alone. Number 35, Xenojiva. Xenojiva, the alien monster, right? The most alien-looking monster in World. For one, this is another monster that was held back in World, which is really putting a damper on its potential, right? Because it wasn't in Iceborne. However, if we're going based off concept and fight alone, it holds up, you know, compared to the other monsters. For one, it's basically a walking behemoth of pure concentrated energy. When you fight it in World, it basically is a newborn, so you have to kill it before it can escape and wreak havoc on the entire world. Its fight is pretty lackluster to me, though. It basically just keeps firing laser beam after laser beam after laser beam, and it never stops. That being said, we will be seeing its big brother way later down the line, so keep that in mind. Coming in at number 34, we have Fulgur Anjanath. Fulgur Anjanath is the variant to base Anjanath, which was in the last video. If you didn't watch that video, go check it out right now. Fulgur Anjanath beats base Anjanath in my opinion in every category almost. I love the color scheme for one, and the elemental status that Fulgur has over Anjanath, right? It also has better moves. It has this one move where it lunges at the hunter with a mouthful of thunder, right? And that to me is just so awesome. That being said, it also has other moves. It can basically spit little globules or, like, you know, piles of spit that have thunder on them, right? And I believe over time it can build up paralysis on the hunter. Light base Anjanath as well. Fulgur Anjanath's frills and nostrils will flare up when enraged. Number 33, Barioth. Barioth basically has the same body structure as Tigrex. However, unlike Tigrex, this monster can actually fucking walk. That is unless you damage its two front legs, in which it will stumble anytime it charges and will leave you open for a long time of attacking. It basically stumbles and goes prone, whatever you want to call that shit. I don't know what you call it when the monsters are laying down and you're attacking it. Anyway, it's basically a massive saber-toothed tiger that resides in the Hoarfrost Reach. Barioth also wields the power of ice. It can fly for short periods of time, and while it's flying, it will usually fire from its mouth a ice tornado, which if you are caught up in, will do a good amount of damage and knock you back out of the tornado. Also similar to Tobikadachi, Barioth clings to walls in the Hoarfrost Reach and leaps onto unsuspecting hunters. For its size, this monster is extremely agile and fast and can prove a challenge to beginning hunters. However, once you've reached this monster in Iceborne, you should be able to handle it without carding. Number 32, Scarred Yongaruga. I'm actually not a huge fan of this monster. I mean, compared to the base Yongaruga, it's just a Yongaruga with scars, and honestly, it feels like it should be a deviant more than its own monster. That being said, its fight isn't that much different to Yongaruga. Again, like, if you directly compare the two, obviously you'll find differences, but overall, I never understood the concept of this monster. Not a huge fan. Number 31, the Tyrant of the Desert himself, Diablos. This monster is another fan favorite, or at least he's one of my favorite monsters. It's basically another charging bull monster like Barioth, but Diablos is actually big, right? I thought Barioth was big in the cutscenes, but Diablos is much bigger than Barioth. It has two horns on its head, hence the name Diablos, and it has a club tail like Apsaros or Ankylosaurus, right, if you're talking dinosaurs. Its fight is also incredibly designed. Diablos will oftentimes dig under the sand and burst out from under the hunter, dealing massive amounts of damage. I would say this is its signature move. However, it does have other moves that it uses. These are most notably his side jerk move, his tail swipe move, and his charging move. Diablos doesn't even need an element to be this powerful, which is why I like him so much. He's just a really badass monster. Number 30, Kushala Daora. The sheer fucking willpower, man. It took me not to rank this monster. Number 68, it was just immense. Like, this monster gets on my nerves so much, at least when I started playing. Basically, Kushala, I mean, it gets on a lot of players' nerves, solely for these few reasons. It stays in the air for an absurdly amount of time. It creates wind tornadoes, and when you think it couldn't get any worse, it can then expand these tornadoes and make them cover the entire battlefield, like the whole space, right? For all these reasons, I refuse to hunt Kushala with anything else than a ranged weapon, right? If I'm not fighting with a bow gun or the bow, not even bow doesn't even have that good of a reach. So if it's not one of the bow guns, I'm not fighting this monster. It has to be a bow gun. However, even though, I mean, it's an annoying monster, its concept is decent, right? An elder dragon that controls the wind is pretty cool. And I've heard that its fight is a lot more tolerable in Rise and Sunbreak, but I can't really vouch for that since I haven't played Rise. Number 29, Valhazak. Valhazak is conceptually one of my favorite monsters, both design and fight-wise. For one, its design is inspired by a piranha, at least in the face, and its fight, it basically uses effluvium to sort of sap the life out of other living beings, right? It's an elder dragon. It resides in the Rotted Vale. In fact, it might even be the ruler of the Rotted Vale. But yeah, so this effluvium attaches to other beings, and Valhazak uses it to sort of drain the life force from other beings, and I love that concept. But the fight itself, even though I love the effluvium, it can be a little irritating to deal with. You kind of need miasma jewels to sort of mitigate the effluvium effect, which is not a problem, but it can be a nuisance in some cases. Yeah, but for that reason, I really like this monster. Number 28, Black Veil Valhazak. Black Veil Valhazak is very similar to base Valhazak, which is why I paired them so closely together. However, Black Veil basically takes the effluvium levels up a whole notch. I mean, you definitely need to be running miasma decorations. If you do not run miasma decorations, your health will drain very quickly and your max HP will decrease. And that's very dangerous, because if your max HP decreases, that means that your max HP, like if you heal, you're only going to be going to like maybe 50 or 100 health max, right? Its design is really cool though. It looks like a giant dragon covered in fungi. It's kind of reminiscent of like the zombies from The Last of Us, in my opinion. At least that's what it reminds me of for some reason. But for all these reasons, I mean, they're very similar. I rank them very closely together because it's just the only thing that's different is the effluvium levels are increased, so very similar monsters. Number 27, Ebony Odogaron. Ebony Odogaron basically takes Odogaron and makes this monster even cooler than it was before. For one, whoever planned this monster's color scheme was absolutely cooking. Not only that, but Ebony Odogaron also controls the Dragon Elemental status, which comes out in the form of red lightning. In this monster's cutscene, you see Ebony Odogaron absolutely shit on a regular Odogaron. Like Odogaron, Ebony Odo's layered armor is highly sought after, again, by people that want to look like anime characters, because it makes you look like an Oni. This monster can still cause the bleed effect as well as inflict Dragon's Blight. I believe Ebony Odogaron is also faster and more aggressive than base Odogaron. Number 26, the Black Horn Tyrant of the Desert, Black Diablos. Black Diablos is visually more interesting than base Diablos in my opinion. Its concept is also much cooler. If you are unaware, Black Diablos is a female Diablos that is in heat, causing its body to take on this deep black color, almost like it's been charred by fire. Not only this, but this monster is also more aggressive and powerful than base Diablos. Black Diablos will dig under the sand significantly more than base Diablos will, meaning you have to avoid this even more than you would with base Diablos. Lastly, this monster was done absolutely dirty in the Monster Hunter movie. If you haven't seen that movie, don't. Number 25, Brachydios. Let's get straight into unpacking this monster. Brachydios mostly resides in the Elder's Recess, or the volcanic region in the Guiding Lands. Its main gimmick is that it has green sticky slime on its horns and forearms. This concept is great, however I'm personally not a huge fan of this color scheme. The blue and the green are sort of contrasting and are too bright for me. I'm not a fan of how saturated they are. Whenever Brachy hits you with its horns or forearms, the sticky substance sticks to you. If you fail to get it off of you, you will explode. Brachy can also stick this slime onto surfaces around you, causing those things to explode. All of this can prove difficult for beginner hunters. However, again, if you're at this point in Iceborne, you shouldn't have too much of an issue with it. Number 24, Shara Ishvalda. Shara Ishvalda is another wonderfully designed monster, and the monster with the most contrasting second phase to its hunt. When you start this hunt, it has the appearance of a giant rock monster. However, as you progress through the hunt, it will shed these rocks and reveal its true form, which is an alien-like, fleshy creature. One detail I really enjoy about this monster is that its eyes follow you around wherever you go, and I do not mean your character in game. I mean Shara Ishvalda looks directly at you through the camera. Its fight is also incredibly engaging. Shara Ishvalda controls the wind, pushing compressed beams of air through the appendages on its wings. It can also cause the sand to fill with air, making it similar to a liquid in texture. Shara Ishvalda has two signature attacks, the first one being a wide beam of air that it fires in a line. The other one is a ball that explodes in the center of the arena outwards, which can be tricky for beginner players as well. I remember Shara Ishvalda being a massive wall for me personally when I fought it in late Iceborne. I was only able to slay about 1 out of every 5 times I hunted it. Number 23, Glavenus. Here we have the original Glavenus, not acidic Glavenus. It's another theropod monster similar to Anjanath and Deviljho. It's another monster with a massive tail unproportionate to its body, which it heats up with its mouth, turning it into an 1,000-degree blade. I love that as a concept, but I also love this monster's color scheme. The red and blue match quite well together. Its fight can be challenging since its attacks cover wide ranges. This means if you aren't careful or good at timing dodges or blocks like with a shield, you will get carded. At 22 we have Nargacuga. Nargacuga easily stands out from its similar monsters like Barioth and Tigrex because of how efficient this monster is. Nargacuga resembles a panther with wings. It still has retractable spikes or blades which it can use to cause bleeding. When enraged, this monster's eyes glow red and leave brief streaks of red in the air. It's a sleekly designed monster, and for that reason it gets placed above a lot of similar monsters. Its fight is also quick. Any hunter, regardless of what weapon they use, will have to react quickly to avoid Nargacuga's attacks. Number 21, Yeon Garuga. Yeon Garuga is a top tier mimicry monster. If you haven't noticed while fighting this monster in World Iceborne, it uses attacks similar to Rathalos and Rathian, as well as other monsters. For example, it breathes fire and stores poison in its tail, just like Rathian does. Yeon Garuga will watch and take notes on other monsters' attack patterns. This is why Yeon Garuga does the backflip tail swipe that Rathian also does. This monster's fight is also incredibly entertaining. It uses its beak to cause bludgeoning damage and will rapidly shoot fireballs from its maw. Number 20, Seething Basil Juice. Seething Basil Juice is the variant to base Basil Juice. This monster is far better than its vanilla counterpart, however, in every aspect. For one, it glows a bright, luminescent purplish pink color, which is enjoyable to look at. Its bombs are also purple, which is my favorite color. Overall, Seething Basil Juice is more dangerous than base Basil Juice and will also dive bomb you if you are fighting any monster except it. It has a plethora of moves where it throws out its purple capsules, making it hard for any hunters to avoid these capsules. Number 19, Lunastra. Lunastra and Teostra, who we will rank in a moment, are two of the best concepts for monsters in Monster Hunter World, in my opinion. To me, these two seem like yin and yang, where without one, the other is not whole. However, for now, we are talking about Lunastra. For one, I love her color scheme. The bright blue coat with purplish accents is stunning to look at. Her flames are also beautiful, even if they are constantly killing you. Speaking of this, Lunastra can be extremely deadly to beginners if they are not careful. Lunastra is notorious for her supernova attack that does tick damage over time, meaning Temporal Mantle won't save you. Get good. Number 18, Rajang. Yes, Rajang is ranked this low on the list. However, this is base Rajang we're talking about, not its variant, which we'll be covering later. Rajang's simplicity helps it stand out in a crowd of overly designed monsters. It's another monster that is reminiscent of a bull with its two long horns. A lore tidbit that I love about Rajang is when a Rajang reaches adolescence, they set out on a quest to rip a horn off a Kirin. We see this in the Rajang cutscene. It then consumes this horn, which gives it control over the thunder element. Rajang is widely known as being a monster that will kick your ass if you aren't careful, especially when it's enraged or tempered. It has a plethora of moves, including a Super Saiyan laser beam, and a move where it will jump into the air and barrel roll on top of you. It will also grab you, throw you aside, and proceed to pummel you unless you are quick enough to move out of the way. Number 17, Teostra. Teostra is the other half to Lunastra, making the two a whole. Together they make a cute couple in a world of terrifying monsters. Teostra is a majestic monster with a gorgeous mane of hair. Both him and Lunastra resemble royal lions. Just like Lunastra, this monster also has a supernova attack, but instead of tick damage, it is one immediate burst. It also shoots a line of fire, which it can redirect in front of it. However, if you time it right, you can use the iframes to your advantage. Teostra is also attached to the best quest when it comes to farming decorations, Day of Ruin. You have to put a significant amount of time into the game to reach this quest, however, but once you do, it's fucking grind time. On average, you will need to slay this thing over 125 times, which I have personally done, just to get one attack plus 4 jewel. Number 16, Zinogre. Zinogre is the epitome of silver rank monsters. This monster glows with a brilliant brightness due to the symbiotic relationship with thunderbugs. These thunderbugs gift it the ability to control thunder. Zinogre resembles a wolf in appearance, however this guy is massive, especially its back and tail. Zinogre's fight is one of the most engaging fights in the entire Monster Hunter franchise. It's also like fighting an acrobat with the amount of times this monster flips in the air. However, this only makes its moveset easier to counter, as they are extremely telegraphed. My favorite moves from this monster are its flips, of course, and its move where it continuously pummels you until you beat it or it beats you. Zinogre has the best quest for farming Zinni, in my opinion, so if you're a broke-ass bitch, if you need Zinni to augment your gear, you can do so by farming this quest. I have personally slayed Zinogre over 100 times. We have reached the end of this video, where we ranked monsters 40 through 16. In the next video, we will cover the top tier gold rank monsters of this game. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for the hunts. I'll catch you at our next expedition.